Her friend is married to an old man, someone who is slightly older, let me put it that way, who struggles with his personal hygiene. And today I'm talking about husband. Wait for the day I'm going to talk about wife. I find that men sometimes they don't say it, but the society has allowed it for men to come out and do whatever they want to do just because they are men. And I find it quite appalling. A couple of months ago, I received this voice note from one of my clients. She was sending in a voice note on behalf of her friend who was having a challenging time in her marriage. So today, I want to share something quite practical. How to deal with a difficult spouse. But I narrowed it down to husband. Quite frankly, I'm going to be addressing the conversation I had with this client of mine. I will be sharing quite practical things that I have noticed that can help in dealing with a difficult spouse or a difficult husband. This conversation is going to be very practical, so lock in and let's get on the ride. So this is the drift about this voice note. Her friend is married to an old man, someone who is slightly older, let me put it that way, who struggles with his personal hygiene. And when she tries to point it out, she's literally tiptoeing around. The guy just talks her down and makes her feel less than herself and says hurtful things to her when she's trying to say, oh, look, you might just have to, use deodorant, or you might have to shower twice a day. You need to change your boxers, or you need to change your knickers because you've used them a couple of times already and they are dirty. And, when you repeat used clothing, you get to, have a little bit of, smell here and there. It became an issue because the guy is no longer focusing on what she is focusing on. He now switched over to try to talk her down and try to make her feel less than herself or feel like, are you better off? Meanwhile, the bone of contention here is, look, you are not paying attention to your personal hygiene, and this can help. This was the drift about the issue that this client of mine mentioned about her friend. So I know you'll be asking, when did they become a relationship coach? But this is not just about personal hygiene and the discomfort that it brings, or the discomfortability that comes with the struggles that we have with our spouses, that we have with our husbands, or even with our wives. This is not about that per se. It is how these experiences as couples translate into affecting our parenting experience. And that is why I've decided to address this issue. How to deal with a difficult husband. Today I'm talking about husband. Wait for the day I'm going to talk about wife. Don't come and tell me, oh, what about the women? Wait for that day. I will talk about it. Today is husband. I'm going to be talking about how to deal with a difficult husband, especially in the line of hygiene and all of that. That's where I'll be coming from. So please, if you are here and you're going to say, why is she ringing the bell on me? Why is she not talking about? I'm not talking about them today. You can come to my house. You can come to my house and see if you can beat me. But right now, I'm in front of this camera. You can't come to my house. So just listen to what I've got to say. I know that sometimes we get used to our partners. We get used to them because they've seen us finish and all. But you don't want to make the other party feel uncomfortable. This is not about tiptoeing around. This is about the fact that you are a considerate person and you are considerate of how you come off and how your existence is making another person, let me put it that way, your mere existence is making another person feel uncomfortable. And it is one of the pegs of being married or being in a relationship. The moment you choose to be in a relationship, you've given out your right to say, oh, I want to be myself. You've given out that right. You can't be yourself 100% in a relationship. Even if you want to be yourself has to not hurt another person, has to not make another person uncomfortable, has to make another person thrive too in themselves. You know when you say, oh, just leave me, I want to be myself. I think I find it, women say, but I find that men sometimes they don't say it, but the society has allowed it for men to come out and do whatever they want to do just because they are men. And I find it quite appalling that just because of your gender, you can be excused of body odor. Just because of your gender, you can be excused of not paying attention to your personal hygiene. I find it quite appalling that just because you're a man, you shouldn't bother about yourself. No, it's not gender specific. It's just how you look after yourself shows how you rate yourself, shows how you value yourself. But that's, by the way, that's not the conversation I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be sharing with my girlies on how they can deal with a difficult husband. So today we're going to explore 3 practical steps that can help you navigate this kind of experience in your marriage or in your relationship. As we explore that, we'll also share how you can create room for, of course, personal growth and a common ground for both of you. Let's explore this. I know one of the points I'm going to be mentioning, which is going to be my first point, is something I personally have struggled with in relationships. When people say set boundaries, which is the number 1 point, set boundaries, it usually sounds abstract in my ear personally, because I'm like, how am I going to set boundaries in a relationship? But only always set boundaries with people that I am not in a relationship with. I can easily just say, look, I don't like this thing because I'm not. I think for me, it was basically because I don't have any affiliations or attachments to you. And I can easily tell you, look, that's not okay with me. And I will not feel bad. And I'll set the boundaries. I'll say no to things. And I'll say, look, this is where you can cross the line in saying certain things to me. I can't take that. I'm always very good at setting boundaries with people I'm not in a relationship with. I don't know why that is like that. But when I'm in a relationship, I now feel like, oh, we are like together. So setting boundaries, I didn't understand what it meant. But obviously, I now understand what boundaries mean, because it's the same thing with setting boundaries with people that you're not in a relationship with. It's kind of the same. So if you can tell someone, look, I wouldn't have you call me names, or I wouldn't have you disrespect me with that word, that is boundary. And it might sound very, very simple, but that's what it is. That's as simple as what it is. You can just say, oh, look, in this house, we are not, okay with calling people's names. Or in this relationship, we should never drop calls on ourselves. We're never going to drop calls. I'm never going to take you dropping calls on me. It's not something that I would accept in this relationship. That's boundaries. It sounds abstract, but you might already be doing it. If you're doing it, fantastic. If you're not doing it, you might consider setting boundaries. So I'm gonna wrap it around how boundaries can help you in navigating relating with a difficult partner. And when you set boundaries, you're not going to say it in a critical way. You're going to say it calmly, nicely, but obviously you mean that, and you're going to strategically determine things that you would do when those things repeat themselves. You can decide to say, oh, look, if he drops the call on me, I'll remind him that this is unacceptable, and these are the things I would be doing when next he drops the call on me. So he knows that in this relationship, these are the things that we don't accept here. These are the things that, sometimes the mere form of just putting it out there can make your partner sit up and realize that, oh, look, because you've spelled it out clearly. You've said these are the things that we don't accept in this relationship. We should never do this to ourselves. And it's both of you. It's not like it's only you saying it just because you want to say it. But even with that, the boundaries are necessarily for your own emotional well-being and for your own stability. So boundaries are so important. So you determine what those boundaries are, and then obviously you set them, and then let your partner know what would happen if those boundaries. You have to keep to reproducing that thing that you say is going to happen when boundaries are not upheld. So you have to determine for yourself what the boundaries you need to set in the marriage or the relationship will be. Because boundaries are like the fences that we have in a garden. They kind of protect the space where love and respect can grow. They fill the relationship so that there's love, respect, there is mutual respect, mutual kindness in the relationship, because there has been boundaries. Anybody can set boundaries in relationship. I won't have you speak to me in that manner. I remember one of my friends who is a male that said, look, in his relationship, he says, talking about my body is the last thing you want to talk about, because he was quite skinny. And then he made it clear that, look, in this relationship, talking about or discrediting the way I look, I'm not going to have it, because it's going to affect my self-esteem. And so that's a boundary already. Or something like, oh, look, disloyalty is something I cannot deal with. It would mess with me, and I'm not going to ever have it. That's boundaries. That's letting your partner know, look, this is a deal breaker for me. For example, if your partner always makes unkind remarks about how you look at home. Say your appearance. I'm not saying that you should tie wrapper, but obviously if you are looking slightly untidy or you just want to free yourself and they make unkind, I mean, you can point out a certain thing about people's appearance at home, but you don't do it in an unkind way. So take note of the word unkind. If they do it in an unkind way to attack your person or to leave the issue and attack your person, if they keep making those unkind statements about your appearance, mainly at home, you can say something like this in response to it. The way you comment or talk about my appearance hurts me. I need us to begin to speak to ourselves respectfully. I mean, take note of the things that you've said. It might sound simple, but it's boundaries. You've set it. Now, this is what you now do in this kind of conversation, where now you've set the boundary and you're going to now let your partner know what the outcome would be if he does not stick to that boundary. So this is what you will now say. If we can't talk to ourselves respectfully, and take note of the word we, because you're now roping the both of you in. It's not just you pointing finger on the other person. If we can't talk to ourselves respectfully, I will need to take a break from this conversation, or I will need to take a break from our conversation. This does not mean that you are running away from or that you don't want to talk about it. I know as ladies we always want to talk, but we need to, when you're setting boundaries, you're training yourself to uphold your own boundaries that you've set. So for example, if you really want to talk about that thing, but if it becomes intense and disrespectful, you can say clearly, I will need to take a break from this conversation because it's hurting me and I'm going to take a break from the conversation. It's either you work away. Of course, you've alerted the person, you're not working out on them. You've alerted the person that, look, what you're saying is hurting me. And if you keep doing it, I would need to take a break. So now that is a boundary. So boundary is not just about saying what you want to say, because just because you want to say it, taking actions that follow that boundaries to uphold or make sure that the boundary is, received, and that's that on that. So let's move up. Let's move over to talking about this hygiene concern among men and how you can deal, because obviously a man who is already having hygiene concerns is already making your relationship difficult for you and is already being a difficult spouse. So let's talk about this hygiene concern. Would it be nice if I tell you that even in the midst of how this hygiene concern is very difficult for you, if you can use a kind and soft approach, it might just work. You say, oh, I've done it before, but wait, I'm going to break it down for you. Relax. So you can say something like this. This is me, or I'm just saying, this is what I think might help. So you can say something like this. I have noticed that we both feel uncomfortable when personal care or personal hygiene is overlooked. Now take note, this happens in everybody. If you don't bath, you will start smelling. If you don't change, if you repeatedly use unwashed clothing, you will start having, personal hygiene concerns. So you are now putting it in such a way that it doesn't look like you're attacking them. You're making it look as if they look. As a human being, if personal care or personal hygiene is overlooked, bang, 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 everybody will become uncomfortable. Imagine that you are not changing your knickers or you're not washing your private part. Imagine what is going to happen to the whole house. It will be stinking. So you are now kind of giving a conversation to let him see the outcome of what would happen when we overlook our personal care. It's not his person that you are talking to. It is you making him come. Sometimes people don't think that far. People just focus on, I have to work, I have to make money. They don't think that far. But if they now start thinking, oh, that's true. If I don't shower after I come back from work, or if I keep wearing that boxers or that knicker, it might start smelling actually. And so sometimes they're tired. But if you make that conversation that way, there's a light bulb that comes out. Even you that I'm talking, so you know that there's a light bulb. You're not making it about the person. It takes a lot of intentionality for you to remember this in a heated conversation, but if you approach it with gentleness, you will remember it. So you can even go further to give an example or give an approach that can work. You can say, it might help if we set a routine or a time of the day where we refresh before we leave the house, something like that. Then you now say something like, what do you think? Should we set a routine? You think it's going to work? Now you're giving him a chance to now think and answer. Remember, the timing is so important in this whole puzzle. Please don't go and start for me after shouting on your husband, or start when you start shouting on your difficult husband that you already know is difficult. You now want to come and give a way of how to do it, it will bring more problem. He will not say, hey, after you've insulted me, please don't go and insult him first. Please, the approach is I mean, if you really want to solve that issue, your approach will have to be a gentle approach, and not seeking to attack his personality, but looking for a way for both of you to do it together. So you can bring in him by saying, what do you think? Do you think we should set a routine? He will say something like, let's say he'll say, I don't need any routine, Joe. I'm not a child. I can go and I can bat by myself. Oh, that would be nice if it's something that you can do by yourself. But I'm happy to join, because even me, I would love to want to, share that time with you a bit. We can start cuddling in the bathroom. Hello. I'll just say, but I mean, you need to take note of the timing. So that's it for that personal hygiene issue. I hope when you try this, you would have the magical light bulb that will change your difficult spouse. Because this is not about controlling your partner, because sometimes it might come off like, oh, you want to control your partner. It's not about controlling. It's a way of clearly expressing what you need respectfully. This number 2 part where I'm going to be talking about on dealing with a difficult partner or dealing with a difficult husband is kind of set room to invite for mutual reflection, because when you reflect, it helps a lot. If you're not reflecting as a human being, you will never become better. You will be stuck in circles. Reflection can happen at any time. So, but you can do it personally. I do a lot of reflections a lot. But one of the times I learned that reflection works magically is when a friend of mine, when I was having struggles and all, and a friend of mine said, look, you guys need to start reflecting as a couple. And I was like, that's true. Reflecting together, setting out your accountability date where you sit down and say, oh, today no one is being defensive. They're just paying attention to what you did wrong and deciding to do differently, and the next time you reflect again. So mutual reflection is so great when dealing with a difficult partner, because if you guys can come together to reflect, which can even happen in the place of prayer. That's why you cannot underestimate the power of prayer as a couple. If you're not praying together, and you guys are Christians, even if you are Muslims, if you're not doing your prayer time together, it might be difficult to deal with a difficult partner. It might be difficult. Obviously, for non-Christians, you can use the other approaches I'm going to be mentioning, but I'm just giving that example. If you're a Christian, praying together would give room for reflection, where when you say, oh, pray for me, babe, the person starts praying for you, and you hear them pray certain prayers. Then when they say, oh, you pray for me, you can use that time to pray for the person, and you can bring up certain conversations. And in the place of prayer, they say, oh, this is a concern. I remember one of my friends that said, oh, one day what made him change about his attitude towards certain things he used to do was when he heard first he heard his mother praying about it, and one day he heard his wife praying about it, and I said, that means this thing is so bad though. And that was when he started making changes towards it. So sometimes you're not praying for the person in a negative way, but you're praying and raising that concern because it is a concern. And that can only happen if you guys have a mutual time of reflection, because actions that hurt us are kind of a reflection of a deeper or deep-seated unresolved issue that we haven't resolved with ourselves. So a time where you invite yourselves for personal reflection or for mutual reflection leaves room for you guys to reflect and begin to look inward, both you and your partner, to look inward in the things that is probably affecting or making you react, or that is triggering you, or making like kind of reflecting and being able to reveal exactly why your partner not showering twice is a thing for you. Is it an unresolved issue that you have had in the past, or is it just because of that particular incident of him not actually washing up, or there is more to it? So it leaves room for inner and inward revelation of why this thing is a concern for you, and also leave room to even reveal his own struggles too. So an example of something that you can say in this situation is, I feel like sometimes we both get caught up in our stress and it comes off as harsh words. Can we talk about what triggers this moment? What are the triggers of this moment of releasing harsh words, or sometimes even verbal abuse? Maybe we can explore ways that we can handle stress better together. You can now kind of recommend something like, maybe if we consider doing exercises together, it will help relieve our stress. Maybe if we consider going into counseling, Suggest, or maybe we should read a relationship book to we should read a relationship book together. You can say something like, I think it would help both of us if we take our time to understand our reactions better. Would you be open to trying counseling sessions or reading this book I just found on healthy communication? I mean, one of the things couples always have to remember is that it's two of them against the world. Like the moment you guys have that light bulb that, look, it's both of us. It's not two of us against ourselves. It's two of us trying to resolve our unresolved issues, or trying to become better people, or becoming better people for each other, or becoming better people for ourselves. Because I don't think there's anyone on planet Earth that love it when they feel uneasy with themselves, or when they get into a fight, or when they get critical. I'm not sure there's anyone like that. No one loves it in that boat. But realizing how both of you can navigate to becoming better and removing your ego aside would really help a relationship. So what this approach does for you, it doesn't make it come off as blame, but opening up a conversation that you guys can explore growth together. I've given you two ways on how to deal with a difficult partner. Number one, I've said set boundaries. Number two, I've said reflect together. Let it be a mutual reflection. Set out or try to invite your partner into mutual reflection where you guys both reflect together. The third one is considering self-care and self-growth. So I know that it's about you pointing finger at the other person, but let's talk about you, how self-care can help you explore or deal with this particular challenge better. Ultimately, you cannot control your partner's behavior, but at least you can control yourself. You can control how you look after yourself, your self-care. You can control how you react to things. You can control how you receive the things that he says to you. You can control how you care for yourself, because your well-being is vital, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your children. This is why this conversation is even had in the first place, because a lot of times husbands and wives are being stressed in their relationship, and they take on that stress and post it to their children, and the children start experiencing an unhealthy parenting experience. That is why looking after yourself is so important. So for example, after a very difficult day where you have struggled, you work hard, you own a business, you work a 9 to 5, and you've come back, carve out, even if it's 30 minutes of personal time with yourself. If you want to press phone, press phone. If you want to call a friend, call a friend. If you want to sleep, sleep. Whatever you want to do within that 30 minutes to 1 hour time, let it be your you time. If you want to meditate, meditate. If you want to listen to a podcast, listen to a podcast. Whatever it is that will make you feel revived or revitalized. Don't know if that word suits, but whatever is going to help you, feel like you've got yourself back. You must create that time for yourself, no matter the noise. People say I like to rest a lot. Rest is one of my go-to energetic, reviving technique that I use. I love rest. I love resting. I just want to chill in my bed and listen to a song, or just read a book on my phone, or just read the Bible. I love reading the Bible. I love listening to the audio Bible. When I'm eating, I love to eat and just listen to it. I love that sound. Let me just listen to it. It's so soothing. So when I hear something powerful, I just go back and look at it again, and I soak myself in it. So whatever it is that makes you feel energized or makes you feel like you fed yourself, please go for it. You can come to the community if you're a community member, or if you're not a community member, now is the time to join. If you're in our community, come to the community. Share how your day went. Share the struggle, share what you are doing now, ask questions on and how your day went. Connect with other mothers. It will help you feel like you're not alone. These things are the things that fuel your personal and self-development and self-growth. So if you're not part of the community, you can join. There's a link in my description. You can join like now, and you can start sharing those experiences, because it helps you. Because when you start investing in your healing and your self-care, you are modeling respect and kind of showing that whilst you cannot change someone else, you can at least take care of yourself. You can change how you care for yourself. You can prioritize yourself. So relationship can come off messy sometimes, and change takes time. So whatever approach that you're taking, I want to admonish you to give it time. Give it a lot of patience. both partners have their work to do. It's not one person's work. And what that means is addressing our own toxic part. So when you identify your own toxic part, how do you approach issues? Do you come off very judgmental? Do you come off unempathic in your words? Addressing and identifying your own toxic part would help a lot. Remember, these tips I just shared with you, setting boundaries, calling for self-reflection, mutual reflection, and prioritizing your self-care and self-growth isn't just about dealing with a difficult partner. It is 3 magical tips that can help you, groom yourself into a place of growth and even becoming a better person. This is a case of, we're talking about turning lemons into lemonades. That's what it is. And I believe that whatever difficult situation it is, you can always turn it to lemonades, or you can turn it to the best experience ever. That's my mantra. I don't believe that any difficult situation should pull you down. I believe that if you look deep inward well enough and reflect in a way that improves your mindset about that situation, you can come out better on the other side, and you can even be so proud of yourself. So now it's your turn. I'd like to hear from you. What is that practical thing that you have decided that in a challenging relationship that I'm going to be doing? It could be from the video that I just shared with you. It could be on your personal experience. What is that thing that you decided that, look, this thing is challenging and this is what I am going to be doing? I want you to share it for me in the comment section, and I will be reading and dropping my thoughts with you. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, share it with another couple, share it with a friend, and obviously drop me a comment, and I am so happy to connect with you. If you're not part of our community, if you go to the link in my description, you'll find a link to join our free support community. And if you're a parent and you want to improve your parenting experience, we are currently gearing up to start our cohort 2 of our Raise the Parent Academy. The link is in my description. I will see you on the next, and I'm rooting for you with love. Bye bye.